We're live.
Alrighty, hello. It's Moto and Son. I'm Moto.
I'm Son.
The Son. And so anyhow, we just, today is July the 13th, 2021. And what did we see coming across the old YouTube today?
Yeah, today was the release of the
Keep going.
Sportster with the new Revolution motor in it. I am surprised that he is excited as he is about it. And with the new Revolution Sportster comes the release video.
So this is the Harley Davidson official video. Yeah,
We're allowed to show that.
It is on YouTube. It is available. We're not using their video that was not used for making any money because, number one,
I think we didn't show enough of it.
We didn't show merch. We don't sell merch. Number two, you have to go to the show notes of our webpage to see more of that. Just kidding. We don't have a webpage, and there's no show notes. Sorry. So we just wanted to throw in our 2 cents on the new Harley Davidson Sportster. First of all, let me say I like the bike.
I have not seen enough of it. I've been at work all day, and I just got home and have heard about it, seen part of the video. But from what I hear, it just seems to be a Bronx.
I would say it looks like a Bronx. So
that they call the Sportster.
They call the Sportster. So here goes my opinion, and my this is just my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean so. I guess if you want to flame, you can flame. I don't really care. But this is just my opinion. Number one, I don't particularly care for the great big huge tire in the front. I don't particularly care for foot forward riding controls, but that's just a preference. I think a lot of people will like this. I have ridden the Harley Davidson Pan America, and I liked it.
The motor felt really nice. The Revolution motor was very impressive.
Yes.
In the Pan America, and all of the other electronic rider aids like the ABS also felt to be a substantial improvement over what Harley has had previously. Obviously Brembo brakes and things like that, which I think Harley has had before. But
the overall Pan American I really liked. And I got to be honest, I like ADV bikes, and I'll just be honest with you, if I was in the market for an ADV bike, it would be a serious contender because I do think it brings some things to the market that I like. And one of the big things is not having to adjust valves.
Yeah, hydraulic valves is a huge selling point.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a comfortable bike. It's probably one of the most comfortable seats I've sat on, stock seats. So I like the Pan American. I like the motor. It revs. It is from 6,000 to red line. It is like, whoop. It is that fast. So I think this will be awesome in a street bike. So I would love to take a test ride on it. I'm hoping one of the local dealerships will get one in soon, and we can take a test ride on it and kind of see it. When Harley announced the whole rewire, they said, you know what, we're going to do a rewire. The Pan American was on for a new model, and the Bronx was on for a new model. And I think they actually had it at some shows. I think they had the Bronx at some shows. They were just looking at it. You couldn't sit on or anything. Anyhow, so it was pretty far along in its production at the rewire time. And at the rewire, they just automatically axed it. They just killed it right off. And I was like, that just seems a little odd. It seems odd that the bike would be so far into a production that they would just go ahead and get rid of it as far as it was. And I had a hard time believing that was going to be totally gone. There's been some buzz here lately about the new Bronx coming out as the Sportster and using the Sportster name. In the video that Harley has, man, they just really pile it on thick with the heritage. They go back to Scotland or UK, whatever. They go back and they find the original house that the Davidsons lived in before they immigrated to the United States. It's like Milwaukee is not enough heritage. we got to find something that's even more heritage than Milwaukee. Let's just go even further back. So it's not
Before
long.
they even made motorcycles.
It won't be long. They'll be going to the Garden of Eden and digging up Adam and Eve and be like, heritage, baby. So
Don't give them any ideas.
Oh my gosh. So the heritage thing, and I will say that was a huge gripe of mine with the Pan America rollout because they really put it on. We're the original ADV bike. Well, kind of all bikes were ADV bikes back then. So I don't know that you were really working in the ADV market. And they had the whole big thing about, we had the first bike to run the Baja 1000, I think, which was actually an Italian Aermacchi that was bought by Harley Davidson, painted orange and red, and put Harley Davidson on it. It was actually an Italian bike. So it was a little bit like, you guys are really stretching this a little bit thin. And the latest iteration with the new Sportster stretched a little thin with the whole heritage thing. I will say, let's talk about the name Sportster and calling this bike Sportster, because really, what's in a name? You know, they're like, hey, if it's a great bike, it's a great bike. Who really cares? It's a Sportster or it's a Bronx. It doesn't really matter. But I think for a company who leans so heavily on our heritage, I think it probably is important. I think it really does matter. So for me, the name Sportster, here's the thing that I feel. I feel like as much as they're like, this is so much heritage and this is so much, this goes back to the original Sportster. We're so sporty and this is so sporty and it's just the next level Sportster. I don't think anybody's going to buy it. And I think a big part of my thing is if Old Yeller is dead, Old Yeller's dead. And if the Sportster, if it's dead, if it can't make Euro 5 and it can't make EPA and it can't do all this stuff, and I put in the notes, look, I like the new bike, so it's not that I don't. And I actually like the Sportster. Of all the Harleys,
is it a new frame?
I think it's a new frame. I think it's everything. It'd have to be a new frame. It's a whole completely new motor. Yeah. So my thing is that we're just renaming it. It's just a game. Like if Old Yeller's dead, he's dead. Just take him to the farm and bury him. If he can't make it, I would prefer that Harley say, look, guys, you were all
they're
big
keeping
boys
it,
and girls.
If they're replacing the Sportster, though, and they're keeping it the same kind of entry-level Softail cruiser style bike, then
I don't know.
Possibly, depending on how similar it is to the older Sportster.
It's definitely smaller than probably the majority of their lineup. It's probably smaller than everything else in their lineup. So that may fit into that Sportster model. But to continue on what I was thinking, I would just assume Harley say, look, we've all loved this model. You guys have loved it, but you don't really buy it. So it doesn't really sell that well. Even in Harley circles, it's seen as what kind of a bike?
It's the girls' bike.
It's the girls' bike, and nobody wants the girls' bike. And so I think I would have a lot more respect for Harley Davidson to say, guys, it's dead. We can't keep it going. It can't pass emissions. It can't. It's time to say goodbye. And let's step to a new, exciting chapter of Harley Davidson. Not only do we have this great heritage that runs way back on all these models, all these Softail models, this great heritage that reflects that in these Softail models, but we also know how to engineer new, cool, and exciting stuff. I would prefer that from Harley Davidson over just calling it a Sportster.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Harleys in general and the old Sportsters or the new Revolution Sportster to say how different they are. I'm not necessarily offended by them calling a new bike a Sportster if it's filling the same kind of area in the market. I would say if I was Harley and I was doing what Harley seems to be doing right now, which is rebranding and stop relying on, the same people that have been the old guys that have been buying your bikes for the last, however long, and trying to get adventure riders and different guys into the market, then I would want to call it a new bike just to try and attract new riders.
Right.
Because the Sportster name, as well known as it is, they're not selling terribly. or they're not selling a whole lot right now.
Right.
And I think you may be able to attract more people to the bike with a new name over the Sportster, and unveiling as here's a whole new bike that Harley's come out with. I think it'll get a lot more attention. You know, we'll see what happens, but
I think Harley had the opportunity to say, this isn't a Sportster. This is a 69 Chevelle. This is a GTO. This is a Firebird. This is a Mustang. This is a powerhouse, power sport bike that's muscle bike. I think they really could have gone in that direction with it and really kind of sold it for that. And you still have an American feeling heritage that comes along with that. So I have a friend who has a Sportster, and he kind of has his finger on the heartbeat of the Sportster community. And I think I guess according to him, there's a lot of dissatisfaction with it, with the old Sportster going away. And one of the things that I thought of was, if they had just said, we're no longer going to continue the Sportster name, we're not going to continue it, just like they did with the Dyna. Look, we had some problems with Dyna. We can consolidate some of this. We can do away with the Dyna frame. We can do away with the whole Dyna line. I think there's a few items that still have the Dyna name, but they're Softails, just like, but I think if they would have said, here's the Sportster, this is going to be the last year of the Sportster, and this is going to be the first year of the Bronx or the whatever. And I like the name Bronx because it really does kind of have a GTO sounding feel to it. It's like muscle your way into the club kind of thing. Don't mess with us. Don't mess with me. It kind of has that feeling. So I really like that feeling. And I think they could have, with that name, that Bronx name, really attracted kind of a more masculine. Are we allowed to say that in 2021? Anyhow, they could have attracted more of a muscular feel for the bike. The Sportster guys, I think if they would have just said, we're not going to have the Sportster name, I think
they might have sold more if they said this is the last run.
All the Sportster guys would have had an instant classic right away. And then I think the aftermarket for Sportsters the used market would have gone through the roof. I think that people who own Sportsters that want to keep them because it's unobtainium now they're going to keep them, and they're going to buy more Harley parts. They're going to buy more hand grips. They're going to buy, because they're going to keep them going. I really think that retiring the name could have been a good thing for them. So that's our thoughts. I would really like to ride the bike. I generally like the Harley, which the Sportster that was it the 48 that had the great big tire up front. I like that look.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of beefy tires up front in general.
But I thought the 48 pulled it off. I don't think this Bronx Sportster pulls it off. So yeah, it's, what do I know? I may not know anything. That is my 2 cents. So guys, down below, tell us what you think. Tell us if you think we're on the right path. Tell us if you think Harley's on the right path. Tell us if you think, yes, Harley absolutely had to keep the Sportster name, or no, they didn't. We understand that not everybody's going to agree with us just because we're right, but anyhow. So anyhow, we just wanted to kind of throw something out. This has been kind of on my mind all day. Some Harley guys and Sportster guys.
You're so interested in a Harley.
So here's the thing, and I ride Harleys, so it's not. I mean, I don't. I do occasionally. We'll ride some Harleys, and I'm not 100% opposed to them. I think they have a place, and I think they do a certain thing. I want the motor companies to succeed because I think it's good for all of the brands to have some really good competition in there.
It would be nice to have like true American inline four sports bikes.
Oh, like a Buell?
No, so the Buell, again, I like the Buell.
The Buell had
the motor company, if they want to get new demographics,
yes,
they need a inline, like a 600 and 1,000
yes,
at least inline four, competitors with the big four. And
here's the thing,
maybe even a 250.
If BMW could do it, if BMW could take their whole line of flat twins and they could pull inline four that in its original iteration. I can't say the word. Iteration, and its original iteration was fantastic.
Amazing.
It was a fantastic bike. There's no reason the Harley can't do this, because I truly believe they have the engineering. They create really pretty unique and interesting products.
Harley has a lot of research and development.
Yes.
However, what Harley has experience in researching and developing is look and sound. So they're really good at developing the sound of a motor and how it looks and how the bike looks.
Well,
they have a huge R&D department, and I'm sure they have the budget for it. I would think that they would want to probably bring in some help from somewhere. Not necessarily like, do another collab with Porsche, the company, to help design a motor, but just maybe some new hires bring on with more experience.
And I'm going to disagree a little bit on that, because I think Harley has had a difficult time making their engines meet Euro 5 and Euro 4 and all that kind of stuff. And they had to come up with new and ingenious ways of water cooling exhaust valves. And when you see a water-cooled Harley, you don't say, hey, there's a water-cooled Harley. You say, hey, there's a Harley, because they've really hidden all that water cooling very well. They've done a great job with that kind of engineering. And they've done a great job getting as much as they possibly can out of their current stock of motors in the current situation for the EPA.
It would be impressive if Harley fully designed a impressive inline 4 dual overhead cam.
Put it in the notes down below. Put it in the comments. Would you like to see Harley all in try to develop or develop? I have no doubt they can do it. Would you like to see Harley develop a 4-cylinder sport bike? Straight up 4-cylinder sport bike. I mean, we know back in the day they were doing some racing. The old black and red Harley was doing some racing. We know Eric Buell was doing some pretty cool things with what he had and trying to work in the parameters that he had. And then afterwards, he kind of did some good things, but I think he's running down a different trail now. But put in the notes, what do you think about the Sportster? What do you think about this Bronx Sportster? What do you think about keeping the name Sportster or having a different name? I really like the Bronx. I think the Bronx just like, wow. And I think that's what this new bike is going to be. It's going to be pow. People are going to expect it to just be a mild 40 horsepower Sportster, like the old Sportster. That's what they're going to be expecting. And then all of a sudden they're going to get on and be like, holy crap, this is awesome. Put in the notes whether or not you think whether Harley Davidson needs to start developing inline 4.
I think the new name would have been a good call, but no matter which one they name it, I'm still not going to buy one. So I guess nothing against the bike. It's just, I can't, because how much is starting at 18,000?
I think at 18 is what I heard, maybe 14. It's somewhere, it's mid to upper teens.
That's an Aprilia RS660 and Tuono 660.
But they're doing completely different things. This is the GTO.
No, that's my brain. This is where my brain goes.
If you want a GTO style bike, this is it. If you want
the muscle bike.
If you want the muscle bike, you want that tough guy, Bronx, New York, who you messing with. If you want that bike, I think this is going to be that bike.
Although for the first time, you might actually have a sporty Sportster.
It was not terribly unsporty when it first came out in '57. It wasn't terribly sporty, but it wasn't unsporty. It wasn't terrible.
It's sportier now.
Anyhow, so that's just our thoughts. Again, we could be terribly wrong.
Probably.
We're not.
It's a vast, high chance talking about Harleys.
Yeah, but I would say if you would have said like the Ulysses, let's go back to like I wouldn't buy one. The Ulysses, I liked the Ulysses.
Yeah.
That was a cool bike. It was a little underpowered, but again, but could you imagine what the Ulysses would have been with the same R&D? You would have had the Pan American. So anyhow, I don't know that I would have to consider a Pan American. So
I will say I would be very interested if Harley released an inline 4 sports bike.
Do it.
I would very much. I think if I was Harley, 250, inline 4 250, release it in America. Kawasaki won't give us the Ninja.
An inline 4 250 would be awesome. It would
made by Harley.
It would rev to 20,000 RPMs or some crazy number like that.
And that would be such a bigger middle finger from Harley than any like big displacement cruiser that they can make.
Yeah. Or here goes another thing. What if you took half of the Revolution motor and did like they did with the Buell Blast? And because you're looking at a 600 cc range, and what if you had something that competed with a DR or a DRZ or an SV650
or an SM, a DRZ 400 SM?
Yes, a DRZ. Yes,
a Supermoto Harley.
Yes, a Supermoto Harley. Please do it. We want one. Tell us what you want Harley to make, and we'll be sure to pick up the red phone here when we get all the comments, and we'll call up to Milwaukee and we'll let them know. Guys, thanks for watching. Pass it along. You know the thing. Hit the like and the subscribe and whatever else. I don't know.
All right.